University, where she also took her master's in marketing communications. Her work experience includes a personal banking manager at HSBC, a PR and marketing coordinator at De La Salle University, key accounts manager at Globe Telecom Incorporated, and worked as an operations supervisor at the IMAX. She is 28 years old and happily married for 2 years to another La Sallian named Charles Chang. Enjoys going to the beach and traveling whenever possible. Weaknesses include food, shoes, and bags. She's happy to be the business owner of the first of its kind in Manila. Let us all welcome Miss Margaret Mary Ligayo Chang. Our second guest for today's panel discussion graduated with a master's degree in integrated marketing communication from the University of Asia in the Pacific. After that, he packed up his bags and worked at his first job in El Estudio DEC BBDO in Barcelona. And after which, he worked in Humanis Advertising, Humanis Basic, and Publicis Manila Basic, surviving 4 different name changes of the agency. And then he was assigned to land a job in the land of Petronas Towers in Nasi Goreng, Malaysia, as a marketing director for Publicis Dialog Kuala Lumpur. He also went back to Manila to run Tagline Communications, a BTL and event agency, starting as a VP for creatives and ending his stint as a Chief Operating Officer. Currently, he is the Vice President of Business Development, Strategy and Client Servicing of Propel Manila, a fast-growing digital agency handling accounts like Samsung, Ayala Malls, Philinvest City, St. Peter, Globe, and Jollibee. He is also a co-owner of 360 Fitness Club's gym, even if it's not yet obvious on his physique, a co-owner of Planeo Consulting, where he gives talks, team buildings, and trainings, and Hep Hep Hooray, a brand new quick service restaurant. He also writes for magazines, gives talks, and MCs. He loves traveling and certified travel addict. He's passionate about serving God through the feast, and he's head of discipleship and being a worship leader and songwriter. But one thing that always stays in his heart is to speak for future leaders in his country, and this is his reason why he's standing here in front of you today. He's going to stand in front of us today. Let us all welcome our second guest, Mr. Francis Gerald Esmeralda. Our third guest for our panel discussion is an outstanding marketing student awardee in 2001. Thomas Tosno Award, Agora Youth Awardee in 2001, was a Dean Solicitor and took her MBA major in Marketing Management in De La Salle University, candidate for honors. She became a brand manager of Universal Robina Corporation, handling Nissin Yakisoba, Nissin Ramen, Nissin Petit Canton, experiencing 3 major campaigns, 3 product launches, 1 major on-ground activation. She was also the International Market Development Manager of Sun Miguel Corporation in Thailand and Vietnam, a product manager of Magnolia Incorporated, Senior Brand Manager of Splash Corporation, a Marketing Manager of Fennelcore, and currently the Senior Brand Manager of Reckitt Benckiser, heading home hygiene category and handling Lysol and Mortein brands. Let us all welcome our third guest, Miss Mitch Cruz Peralta. And let us not forget our fourth and final guest for the panel discussion. She has 17 years of solid sales and marketing management experience, 12 years of which holding a senior management position in direct sales and multi-level marketing and retail selling, FMCG, strong experience in brand and campaigns management, field management, promotional activities, trainings, events, competition, pricing, forecasting, inventory, communications, merchandising, market research, and publicity. She is a graduate of De La Salle University with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and took up her Master's of Science in Marketing also at De La Salle University. She worked as a General Manager for Wellness at Sante International subsidiary, and she's currently the Chief Marketing Officer of Sante Barley International. Let us all welcome our last guest, Miss Kit Kat Cruz Diaz. Okay, so this is how the panel discussion goes. To get the ball rolling, I'm going to ask questions to our panel, and they're going to give their answers based on their experiences and the things that they have done throughout their life and in their career. Let us check our microphones. Is it working? All working.
Mic taste.
Okay. So guys, listen up because you're gonna learn a lot from this panel discussion as well as from the speakers that we had along. The first question is, how did you perceive marketing when you were a student, and how did it change when you started working? Okay, so that's one of the things that everyone needs to understand. Okay, what will marketing be like after school? How did you perceive marketing when you were a student, and how did it change when you started working?
Sige, I can start first, okay? When I was a student, I imagined marketing to be like, I don't know, Suits. Who here watches Suits? Yeah. But you know, it changed, everything changed the moment I actually went into it. Naging Prison Break siya. Or Living Dead. So, no, but the truth is, you know, you go into it, when I was your age, which was maybe like a decade ago, I entered into advertising thinking that, you know, it's all glamour, it's all kasosyalan, it's all parties and stuff like that. Then you discover that it's actually a lot of hard work, a lot of late nights, a lot of burning the midnight oil. But you know, at the end of the day, all of that is actually worth it when you actually do great stuff. So there's a disconnect between what I imagined it to be and what it was, but as it turns out, it's actually better in the end. So you guys have a lot to look forward to.
Next. Okay. When I was a student like you, I was also a graduate of LaSalle. I'm ID 98.
You take a picture.
I was a student. I think marketing was going to be very exciting. It's all going to be fun, ganyan. So, when I started working, I was looking for what's the 4Ps, asan yung mga essentials that we talked about in college. Pero, lo and behold, it's not gonna be like that. Parang, the things that I learned in college are just there to keep me grounded, but basically it has something that, you have to be updated, you have to know who you're talking to. It still is a lot of fun. It still is the most glamorous job, like advertising also. But, pardon my French, it's also a lot of shit. Diba? So parang, if you're marketing, like in my case, since I'm in brand, I'm just not the marketing person. I'm also the general manager of my brand. So it's not just about developing your product or developing a campaign, but it's knowing if you have stocks, if you have whatever material. So lahat siya. And it doesn't mean pala na if you're marketing, you're just in charge of marketing, but you also have to worry about everything else like R&D and sales and distribution and trade marketing. So behind all that glamour and fun and rubbing elbows with the celebrities is so much hard work. But like what he said, it's really all worth it. So yeah.
Hi everybody, are you hungry?
Yes.
Lilipas din yan. Okay, so I'm Kit Kat. I'm from Sante Barley. Have you heard about it? I'm Madras. Okay, anyway. About marketing, my course in college was business administration. We only had 3 units of marketing, which is totally different from what you're thinking right now, correct? Tama ba? Alright. So, I started working as a medical representative of GlaxoSmithKline. After that, I worked for BNV. That was my very first exposure to marketing. That was the time I learned everything about marketing, from product development to launch, to its launch, to advertising. I think what's interesting is that ever since I've been exposed to marketing, that was 97. I'm 42. Wow, I'm 41, ano?
14 naman.
Yeah. So ever since I've been addicted to marketing, what I like most about marketing is the planning, the preparing, the thinking, and you know, we do all the dirty work. Diba? When you do like events like this, congratulations to the team by the way. It's very cool here. You know, zero casualty ba?
Hindi pa naman.
It's the, what was I saying? It's really the result. It's after that. I like it, you know, in most of the organizations I joined, when they say, I really hate it when they say, oh, Kit Kat, you're from sales. But I'm not from sales, duh. Diba? You know, there's a certain pride kasi when you're in marketing. You will only understand this once you start working for an organization. There's a certain respect for marketers out in the field. That's what I like most about marketing. It's the planning, the organizing, everything. So, like what they said, there's a lot to look forward to in marketing.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Marge. Who among you have heard of Mystery Manila? Yay, okay, great. Try it out if you haven't heard of it. Anyway, for my business, everything that we did for marketing is just online, and then we didn't need to spend a single peso on it. Just like what we experienced for the past 6 months since we opened, we've been featured in ABS-CBN, GMA, and all other channels and magazines, and even other websites. So what I've learned from when I was in college, that was more than 10 years ago, like 11 years ago, when I started in the Sun. I was ID number 103. Back then, I always thought that for you to reach that kind of media mileage, you'd have to spend thousands, if not millions of pesos. But what I learned being an entrepreneur is that as long as your product is really good, or if you know your business very well and you know how to capture the market, then it'll do the whole marketing for you. I mean, that part of marketing I never really understood when I was working or when I was in school, but that's one of the major realizations I've had when we opened this business. So the takeaway here, I think, is that if you're working for a company or if you open your own business, I think what's very important is that you know your market and you know how to capture that market, and everything else will follow.
Yeah. Can I just add one small thing? Ako, one expectation lang that I also had was, the moment I graduated from college, I'm not going to learn anymore, tapos na. But the one thing that I'm going to share with you guys is that learning never stops. In fact, the most successful people that I have worked with in my 12 years of working in advertising are people who are always hungry for learning. It's amazing. They don't need to study. They don't need to take up online courses, but they go on the internet, they learn new skills, new technologies. And I've seen CEOs who do that on a regular basis. So hindi sapat na ako, CEO na ako, COO na ako, Executive Creative Director na ako, wala na akong kailangan aralin pa. You always learn because things are changing. Ako right now, I came from a BTL, a below-the-line events agency, and an above-the-line advertising agency, and now I'm in digital. And I work with people who are siguro 2 years, 3 years older than you guys. But I learn from them because when it comes to the digital sphere, they know so much more than I do. And I can be ma-pride na, I'm your boss, so I should, kayo, alam ko na dapat lahat. Pero the thing is, I always ask them questions. What does this mean? And never be ashamed to ask questions because the people who ask questions are the ones who get ahead in life. Ang mas naiiwan, yung mga tao na alam ko lahat ng sagot. May iwan ka. Leave behind. So kayo, always ask questions and don't be ashamed to even ask questions that look stupid, because the truth of the matter, the stupider you are you become stupider when you don't ask to begin with. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wonderful answers for the first question. Wonderful.
Fabulous.
So let's start. The second question. Okay? In your own opinion, this medyo direct na question. Is the use of traditional media dying? Relating to your professions and to some of you being entrepreneurs, especially since consumers are mostly online nowadays. So for you guys, is traditional media dying? Okay, we can start with Ms. Mitch.
I think we will go into digital eventually, but we will really not forgo traditional advertising. I've been in the industry for more than a decade, and contrary to what we know, because you are all students of LaSalle and you think everybody's online, unfortunately it's not like that. It's not really the digital scope of things. Ganyan. Like, especially if you want to market through Facebook, there are about 30 million Facebook users only in the Philippines, and we are 100 million in terms of population. So for us to be able to communicate to that many, it cannot be just digital. Not to mention that our telco companies cannot provide us with as much speed as we would want to, diba? And we're also not as rich as to buying smartphones. So, medyo malayo pa. It would take some time. However, it is good to start being in digital right now. So if you are a brand manager or if you are a brand owner, do not wait for digital to be so big before you enter in the digital world. You have to start now. Para by the time na nandun na siya, established ka na, kilala ka na, and it's always, your campaign can only be successful if it's a 360-degree campaign. Meaning, what you see on TV, you see in digital, you see in the supermarkets, you see in your bundle packs, you see everywhere. But if you communicate different things in all those platforms, apart from not being able to to giving your message to your consumers, hindi nila maiintindihan what your brand is really all about. So it's a partnership. It's not something na after 10 years wala ng TV, because I highly doubt na mawawala ng TV.
Alright, so what is nice about the media right now is that as a company, we have options. So we have the print, TV, what else? Sige nga?
Radio.
Radio and social media, diba? So as an advertiser, we have options on where to communicate our messages. What is interesting is that we had a meeting with an agency recently. Apparently, nag-grow ang radio. Why? Because TVC is very expensive to place a TV. So advertisers look for options on how to maximize their resources. So like for us, have you seen the commercial of Papa B?
Yeah.
Piolo, the one with the ball? No? Yes, yung iba yes, yung iba no. So it's very expensive to place lahat TV. So we had to look for other channels like local cable, print, pwedeng newspaper or magazine. Radio, have you heard? This is Piolo Pascual, Ganamon Grass. Diba? So we are looking for ways on how to communicate our messages. And it should be cost effective. So will it die, the newspaper? I don't think so. Marami pa rin mga Gen, sino ba yun? No, the XY, hindi, ang mga XY, they don't really, I'm X, they don't really read the newspapers, diba? The only time they read newspapers is when they go in a plane, they're offered newspapers. Pero yung mga, anong generation ba yun? No, the matatanda. The boomers! Magsama ako, the thunders. The boomers kasi, the baby boomers like to read, diba, newspapers. So like for me, I'm exposed more to social media. Diba? So, I don't think it's gonna die. Yun.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I don't think it's gonna die, especially the TV, radio, print. I mean, there's staples. Just for our business, for example, we noticed that whenever we get featured in TV, as in like immediately merong response kagad versus social media campaign which has been there even before we open, kumbaga steady, but every time we get featured in TV or in the newspaper, like Manila Bulletin, we were featured on a Sunday. And then that whole week or weeks after that, we saw the immediate response of the market. So as they've all mentioned, it's really not dying anytime soon. But yes, social media should still be one of your priorities when you think of ways to market your product.
You know, we all kind of have an inkling naman, diba, that digital is the way to go. But at the end of the day, guys, media is media, and it changes with what's popular at the moment. And right now, it's becoming digital. For all you know, in the future, it's going to be a microchip embedded in our brain that shows us the ad directly in the. And we really don't know, diba? But there's one skill that I think is very important for you to cultivate. Whether you guys want to enter advertising, marketing, or you guys eventually want to become entrepreneurs, which I strongly recommend if you, is the art of telling stories. Because at the end of the day, the biggest campaigns, the most memorable things that you guys have ever remembered are all based on good storytelling. So you guys have to think how to tell a good story. Even as students, actually, you know, the best things that you can do is when you give a presentation, hindi lang kayo magbigay ng presentation na, okay, our objectives or no. You weave a story. And that's how you engage the consumer. Yun yung yun yung key dyan eh. I always tell my team, at the end of the day, we're always telling stories. If you're an advertising person, what's the story that you're gonna share? If you're an entrepreneur, like ako, I'm putting up a new restaurant this December, and it's called Hep Hep Hooray, okay? And what's the story of Hep Hep Hooray? We're gonna sell all of these foods that you see sa kanto, yung mga isaw, mga ano, pero pinasosyal mo, di ba? It's in the restaurant. So yung kwento dyan is, yan yung mga pinagbabawal sa'yo ng nanay mo kainin kasi baka madumi siya, but you make it cleaner, now you can enjoy it, di ba? In Robinson's Las Piñas. So medyo malayo. But to give you an idea of how, if you have a good story, you don't need to spend a lot of money. I actually go to Mystery Manila. I think that's the story that I want to share with you guys today. That I personally went to Mystery Manila, and I did one of their games, which is the sensorial something, sinister sensorial, where I'm not gonna spill the beans, but bottom line, we solved it at 0.00 seconds. So talagang last second namin na-solve. But what was powerful about the entire experience was it was a story for us. So what did we do as me and my friends who took it? We posted on Facebook. We hashtagged them. We posted them that we had a great time. And whenever we meet people, we tell them, you know, we were in there. Munti ka na mag-away-away dun sa loob kasi napipikon ka na dahil hindi nyo ma-solve siya, di ba?
Gawin mong endorser.
And at the end, you know, many people started to comment about it. You know, because I hashtagged it. Their partner, who I didn't know was their business partner, was also a friend of mine, messaged me, hey, did you enjoy it? It's like, oh my God, yeah, I super loved it. And it's based on a story, an experience. Another experience I had recently was, you saw the Green Cross thing, right? Yung one of their products is Dell. And ako, I'm not the current ad agency of Green Cross. So I went to the gym, and then nung umaga nag-gym ako, inano ko yung tuwalya ko, mabango siya, yung face towel, so bango niya. Then nung hapon, bumalik ako sa gym, nag-workout ulit ako sa hapon, masipag.
Promotion!
Bumalik ako sa hapon, but na-realize ko, oh no, I forgot a towel. So ano gagawin ko, diba? Sabi ko, oh no, gagamitin ko, i-reuse ko yung towel ko. Anyway, pawis ko rin naman to. Kaya, diba? Nung ginamit ko ulit yung tuwalya nung hapon, mabango pa rin siya. It still smelled good. English, sorry, English.
Can you speak in English?
It still smelled good. And I just posted on Facebook a story that, you know, I went to the gym in the morning and I discovered that it was Dell, which is a brand of Green Cross. So and suddenly, their brand manager messaged me, is a friend of mine pala. Dell has this micro capsule FX that, you know, when you put it on your nose, it breaks and then it releases the scent. I go, oh, it's a shell. And it's a story. And see, you remember it. You remember stories. So that's the main skill that you guys have to learn. The art of storytelling. Because it's gonna take you through whatever business you get into. So medium will always be medium. But the stories that fill up those mediums, that's where your brains are gonna come in. That's where your creativity is gonna come in. And when you do that, guys, you guys are gonna be successful.
If I may add lang something, no? So apart from learning the storytelling, I think it's also key for you to know which platform really fits your brand. It doesn't mean that advertising is available everywhere. That you have to have TV, you have to have radio, you have to have